Hi, and welcome to week 2. I hope that your first week went really well and that you were able to use your goals to keep you on track with your plan. So, week 2, and I'm going to talk about immediate gratification and reflective space. Now, this could not be more important in the plan because obviously we've got our 3-step strategy, we've got plotting our goals, we've got planning our days, and we've got gaining reflective space through the use of these activities. So I touched on reflective space at the end of last week, and I just want to recap on what that really means, and I want to use the term instant gratification to really explain that and help you to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve. So, what do I mean by immediate gratification or instant gratification? So, this is a term that refers to the temptation and resulting tendency to forgo a long-term future benefit in order to obtain a less rewarding but more immediate benefit. Alright, hopefully that makes sense. And on the flip side of that, we have delayed gratification, or the decision to put off satisfying your desire in order to gain an even better reward or benefit in the future. So that is what instant gratification and delayed gratification are. So if I give you 2 very quick examples that are sort of real life, and let's use food because, let's face it, that's what we're here to talk about. So it's seeing something and thinking, yeah, I want that, I'm going to have it. Okay, versus delayed gratification, seeing something and thinking, I'm not going to have that right now, I'll put it off. So if we look at that, and let's talk about reflective space. So, for example, if I'm driving home and I stop at a petrol station and there's a sweet treat at the counter, I'll see it, I'll think, yeah, I want that, I'll pay for it, and I'll eat it in the car on the way home. Now, in the scheme of what I'm doing right now, that would be a classic example of gratifying myself instantly, alright? So, I know what my long-term goal is. I've made my plan for my food, and I'm choosing to deviate from that plan to give in to something for a very instant gratification, okay, versus taking a moment and thinking about it. So, if I could use my hands to explain this again, okay? So we've got the desire to do something, excuse my very red hands, and we've got the desire to do something, okay? And we've got the action. Now, in the example that I just gave you, they're like that, okay? They're interlinked. It's, I want it, I'm gonna have it. There's nothing in between. So there's the desire and there's the action, all right? In that example. Now, if you can think of that space between my hands as reflective space, okay? So if there's the desire to do something and the action is a bit further down the line, this space where my head is the reflective space. Now, for naturally slim people, as I like to call them, this is what I would love to come back as. People talk about coming back in another life as someone rich or famous. I'd love to come back as a naturally slim person that this stuff came naturally to. Okay, so someone else would see that treat at a petrol station. They would think, oh, that looks really nice, but actually my tea's going to be ready when I get home, so I'll not have it now. But if I fancy a treat at the weekend, I'll get one then, if I want. And if not, well, sure, I can always try it. I'm sure it's not going anywhere. That's the difference between instant and delayed gratification. Now, the naturally slim folk, as I call them, have that. They have that ability. That reflective space is natural. And as I say, for someone like me, that's completely interlinked, okay? The action and the desire are like that. I'm not good at taking that reflective space. And for me, I always think of it as nearly I'm trying to pry these two apart. And gaining that reflective space is where I use these activities. And it's not easy. But It does work. It's just having the awareness of it. Okay. Now, another example of giving into instant gratification, which wouldn't be a helpful behaviour on a journey, a weight loss journey, would be, for example, giving into the desire to hit the snooze button when you have to get up and exercise. Okay, so thinking, I want to stay here, I'm warm, I'm cozy, and giving in to that, when again, your exercise plan is part of your plan, hopefully, or you have goals, and you know, obviously you're giving in to something instantly rather than holding fire and waiting for the greater good. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So we've set our goals. We know the long-term plan. We know the better reward. We're planning our days. And we know what we need to do to help us achieve our goals. So any behaviour where we do not adhere to our plan, we are submitting to instant gratification. Okay, so activity for this week, I want you to think about instant gratification, because if you deviate from your plan, you are giving in to instant gratification. You're not taking your reflective space. So if you want to deviate, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. So if you want to, write these down. So firstly, what is the situation? What's going on? Who am I with? What time is it? What's the situation? Number 2, what is the food? What is the food that makes you want to deviate? Number 3, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling? Okay. And again, if you do all of those things and still want to deviate, revisit your goals. All right. An example of this that I have seen in the past of someone who talked about, you know, giving in to instant gratification, and when she examined it, she noticed it was the same point every day, and she was a young mother at the time, and it was actually when she was picking up her baby from her mother-in-law, and the baby would cry leaving her mother-in-law, and it really, really upset her, and she found that it really triggered her to want to eat. Okay, now again, that's a very, very specific example, but a great example nonetheless of how one week you might find something that is a real, you call them light bulb moments, where you're like, yep, that's me. And knowledge is power. Okay, when we know these things, we can do something about them. All right, so quick recap. What's the situation? What time is it? Who am I with? What's the food? How am I feeling? And revisit your goals if you need to. And your quickfire question this week, okay, is what I'm going to do, is what I am about to do going to bring me closer to achieving my goals? All right, so we're back to goals again. This will be a very, very common theme. All right, as we know, if we ask ourselves these questions, we won't deviate if we answer them honestly. Will this bring me closer to achieving my goals? No. So I'll not do it. Now that sounds simple. I get that, okay? But that's the theory. So hopefully that all makes sense. Have a fantastic week. And remember, you've got to start acting and gaining that reflective space. Have an amazing week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.